Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's all about news and current affairs programs. Yeah, we talk about this morning on ITV. On the first round, we were taking a look at the proposed withdrawal of Nigerians military from some states by the northern part of the country, and these have been met with so many reactions, some for and of course some against, while some others just feels indifferent about the situation. And don't forget also, as at yesterday, 2 days ago, over the week, when the news filtered into the atmosphere, the reported cases of killings, bombings, you just name it. Is it the right time for the military to be recalled? After the president said that we are not at war, so there'll be no need for us to leave our military personnel there. Don't forget that the charge army also, they choose to withdraw their troops. And as the child armies withdrew, the villagers in their communities started running away. I mean, is that a good news? Anyway, the president promised Nigerians that they will not be abandoned, they'll be succored. Analysts will analyze this issue, they'll share their thoughts and, of course, their opinions. Let me start off my introduction by introducing the birthday man. Yes, I read his birthday yesterday. He's +1. That was yesterday, and now we have to count out 365 days for him. You get to hear put food on the table. Join me to welcome Comrade Obaraye Osahon. Comrade, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much.
And of course, happy birthday to you.
Happy birthday.
And sitting very close to Comrade is a man I highly respect and I love so much. He's a legal practitioner. When you talk about agriculture, he's into it. When you talk about labor, being a labor devotee, he's very, very strong in the Aluta front, both local and international politics as well. Granted, joining to welcome Barrister Robinson Imade. Barrister, sir, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Wilson.
And of course, Happy New Year to
Happy
you.
New Year.
All right.
Happy New Year, if you are.
Still very close to him. He's a legal practitioner, one-time vice chairman of Ego local government, one-time also acting chairman of Ego local government, a legal practitioner, and a politician. Yeah, local and international politics is well grounded. Joining to welcome Honorable Desmond Ubo. Honorable, welcome to the show.
Happy New Year.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Thank you.
All right, we're still expecting the likes of Samuel Ejigato when he comes in. We'll continue with chain or line of discussion. I want to introduce them. Don't forget that this is the Hamatan season, okay? Dry, dusty. And of course, dehydration is likely to happen in the course of the day. So you have to go about with water, get your skin and lips oiled. Just to bear the simple tips. In the Hamatan season, don't smoke and throw away, don't light fire indiscriminately. You can tell what that will lead to. Having said that, the withdrawal of the military personnel from some states in Nigeria. Let me start off with you, Obaraye. What do you feel about this?
Thank you so much, brother. God bless you. I want to first of all appreciate you for your time and everything yesterday. The truth must be told. Our leaders, federal government, are playing politics with everything.
Your own opinion?
Yeah, my opinion.
Yeah.
Not just also politics this time. They are also playing, it has become tribal politics because you take notes from the introduction you brought. You see that for the very just now, few minutes, not up to a day, that the military was withdrawing from some states. You saw the bizarre, you saw the massacre that went on again. That also goes to tell you that we have leadership that is not well structured. We have leadership that does not think about what its citizenry have to enjoy. The very first applause our President Muhammadu Buhari, PMB, got on his presidential acceptance speech when he came in 2015 was that he immediately ordered the the takeoff of the military base, military headquarters from Abuja down to where the war was ongoing. I think that was when everybody clapped and said, wow, it's a welcome development. The truth must also be told, have there been really any change? You know, we discussed about this. Sometimes I told you, I said, our president has given us, without arguing with him, a nice man, but times with that number that he does not know what is going on. Because if there was something that happened and he said he never knew that the general was not there. So if we have a man that is in charge of security, number one, before getting to the chief of defense staff, you already made a presidential order that the defense headquarters should move from one place to plan B. And when people started dying and there was outcry, the answer was, I never knew what I said, the person did not take it to the letter. So it boils down to show that we, the followers, are the problem of ourselves. Because if we are not the problem of ourselves, I don't see us complaining that what we voted is not any positive result.
All right, I will come back to you, Obaraye. His strong point is that the leadership that are playing politics with security issues, his own opinion. Barrister Robinson, do you do the same line with him in terms of proposed withdrawal of Nigerian military from some parts of the country?
Well, there's nothing actually that is not politics everywhere in the world. But then, talking about the proposed withdrawal, I won't know from what angle to look at it, but let's try to look at it from 1 to 3 perspectives. We are aware how many soldiers have lost their lives. We are aware that as they are going to the troubled areas, many of them are writing their wills. And true to type, every time, the reports have even come out to show that sometimes the government tries to hide the casualty figures. So perhaps I should begin by congratulating and thanking God for the families of those that have been withdrawn. Again, talking about whether it is instructive at this time to withdraw troops or not, one should look between the lines of the speech of the Chief of Naval Staff. He mentioned, I may not quote him directly, that very soon equipment will be received that will make them react more promptly to security instances. And that tells you that for now, all is not well as far as equipment is concerned. That is why insurgents that Nigerians were promised would be crushed within 6 months are still there up to this very last week, even after a whole term of the president. Then one wonders if the military itself will not be happy that we are bringing our people back to the barracks. If you say that the police is supposed to be in charge of internal security, that is perfectly correct. But we know that the police that we have now are also even more ill-equipped than the military. And so, what level of success have we recorded that has led to this proposal of withdrawing the military? When soon after your pronouncement, the Boko Haram and other insurgents, the ISWAP, they are there, they have started to answer you by killing, maiming, and, if you like, letting the military, the government know that they are still very much around. The question is, why are we still in this mess when we have a general in charge of the country and the security? So to me, it is neither here nor there. The military has not done so much. I won't know whether the casualty level on the part of Boko Haram has been higher or on the part of our military have been higher. But whether we like it or not, two good heads, they say, are better than one. The military remaining there will do us some good. It may not be enough for us to shout Uhuru. I don't see these insurgents coming, Nigeria surmounting it anytime soon, because we are not serious about it, because we are not paying the required attention to it, and because of there is massive insincerity on the part of our government. That's the way I look at it for now.
All right, I'll come back to you, Barrister Robinson. Imade. Honorable Desmond Ugbo, you've heard both of them. They've spoken at length. Is that not in tune with the proposal? We'll talk about the withdrawal of military personnel from some of this troubled region in Nigeria. Take it up from there.
Thank you very much. It's a mixed feelings to Nigerians hearing the president announcing that very soon the military will be withdrawn from their strategic points, positioned to take on the Boko Haram. The question that is begging for an answer from the lips of Nigerians are these: what is the effectiveness of our military in the first place for us to believe that actually they were there to combat this Boko Haram? I know that such an internal war is very, very difficult compared to conventional war. The Nigerian military has been confusing Nigerians instead of convincing Nigerians all along.
In what terms?
There are conflicting reports about how they defeated the Boko Haram leader several times. Sometimes they will come telling Nigerians that the man is dead. The other time we hear them telling us that, yes, it could be a replica or an identical insurgents. All these are certain things that made Nigerians to be confused about how far, the extent to which these military are battling this insurgency. Perhaps you are aware that the military themselves have came out several times to lament about the poor equipments and ammunitions that they have. When you are battling with an insurgency such as the Boko Haram, because they have a network across the whole world. We just witnessed yesterday here, in northern part of Nigeria, Arewa youths, they took to the streets protesting against the killing of this other man in Iran. How on earth will you imagine in Nigeria where you found their citizens protesting, writing all sorts of things, condemning the action of the United States of America and Trump in deploying their missile to the killing of that man? All these are pointed to the fact that we are still begging to understand why this insurgency came up in the first place and why their fight remain unabated. Firstly, we saw the president encouraging the military to go to the forefronts of the war with a view to nipping it at that bud there. But eventually, we discovered that most of the Nigerians have been indoctrinated into their Islamic belief that once you kill in the name of Allah, you go straight to heaven.
No, not all of them, because how peaceful Muslims.
I am talking about those that are Boko Haram.
Okay.
It's not all Muslims that are Boko Haram. One will begin to even think if some Christians are even part of them. Very recently, just yesterday here, a Christian bride was beheaded.
All right, now, we not want to paint any glory
11 days
here.
Later, there was a such scenario. What we are trying to say here is that the announcement by the president is not well calculated and it was not rehearsed. If you listen to his statement, he said that those public analysts, he appeals seriously to them while trying to inform Nigerians the brain behind such announcement. For us, as a Nigerian, we know the effectiveness of police. compared to that of the combatant military. If a withdrawal of a military in a battle led to another attack as a form of sending message and rejoicing because they now see it as a free day, how, if a policeman, for example, is called to an area where there is a robbery incident, look at the time the policeman will come and join you. Look at the rickety vehicle they will use. Look at the ammunitions they will use. All these will inform you that this announcement is ill-conceived.
All right. It's ill-conceived, but gentlemen, I like to warn us that we shouldn't paint any gory image in course of this discourse.
No,
right?
we should be allowed to say what happened.
Of course, why not? But paint of gory image is not really allowed. Just apologies for that. Now, let me come to you, Obaraye. What do you think gave rise to this announcement?
Political insincerity. Insincerity in governance. Insincerity in leadership. The reason I think you were with me yesterday when my leader, David Ugolo, gave an example when he was trying to speak. He said, if you say police does not have any value, let's also think of police going on strike. Police are not on strike, and we see cultists, we see kidnappers, we see armed robbers striking every day. So if the police also decide to go on strike, I think individual at this time will also strike, leaving those that know how to strike, because it will be a level playing ground for everybody. So if the presence of the military, we say, had nothing to do in the northern region, where there has been war since over 10, 15 years. We join them, we be a free-for-all fight, where you see a man that say, okay, Wisdom Marshal is owing me money. Since there's no military, there's no police on ground, this time if I go and ask him, he does not pay me, I will take a decision on my own, because I have no authority to report back to. So you can see that this is also a blunder, another political blunder from my own party, because the truth must be told, there is war in the northern region of Nigeria, and what we see is these people, the security, what is the security vote of the president got to do with, now when you say the place there is war, people should be withdrawn, that is one. There's, thirdly, the governors of those states also collect monthly security votes. So if the president says, okay, let's withdraw them, what is the palliative measure you have on ground as a way forward to combat the fight on ground? We've not been able to combat it. There has been no month we don't have skirmishes, at least one news or the other, of either kidnapping, killing, or raping from the northern part of this country. That is with the presence of military, with the presence of DS, with the presence of everything. Now the president is saying, no, let them do it. There was tight security on ground when our school children were kidnapped. And as we speak today, with the tight security on ground, our government was negotiating. I'm going to tell you that there is failure of government on the security aspect. And one of the major reasons why we vote for our governance is to make sure that the security and lives of its citizens is protected. One of the major reasons why we don't also protest to say, as governor, Wisdom Marshal collects 1 billion for security votes. Why we don't protest about it is that if you collect it, make sure we are secure. So if after all these ulabalo, then we are not still secure, my brother, you can see that Nigeria is sitting on a keg of gunpowder. We must be trying to assess, because the date, what happens in the border of Nigeria, Niger, Nigeria, Cameroon, 90% of my news I get on my TV. So if I'm also telling you back, it's what you've injected in me, impacted in me, that I give it to you back. If now, as we speak, the borders closed in the western part of Nigeria, known to everybody. We are not used to the locals. My brother, don't tell me you don't know that the same is not be affected 100% or even 50% in the northern part. So our government should be sincere in letting us know how they govern us.
All right.
But I don't also want to quarrel with the government a lot, because we've been lamenting. I now also see us, the followers, as the major problem. Because after you hear them say, you talk. On election day, you come to the feed, not asking, where is the government that withdrew military from the north and made sure there was increase in killing, increase in kidnapping? That government, I don't want to vote it. I want to vote for the government that has promised to bring security in every nook and cranny of Nigeria. Nobody will ask that. What do you hear Mama Jumbo ask? What do you hear Mama Osadolo ask is, where is the party that shares money?
All right, I'll come back to you, but I want to go for a break. When we return, we will continue with this discussion. It's all about the proposed withdrawal of Nigeria's military, the impact and the fight against insurgents. We'll be right back. Do stay tuned.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. It's still the proposed withdrawal of the military from some regions in Nigeria, and we are taking a look at its impact in the fight against insurgency. All right, Barrister Robinson Imadena, from what Obaraye said, he said Nigeria is sitting on the keg of gunpowder. If time is not taken, we don't pray for that. Now, he talked about insincerity of leaders and also blame the followers. Now, from your own perspective, what do you think gave rise to this proposed withdrawal after the president said we are not at war? But from what Obaraye said, he said we are at war in the northern region.
Are we really at war only in the northern region of Nigeria? Are we safe traveling from place to place in the south? Are we sure that we have any form of nightlife anymore? Do we sleep with our two eyes closed, even in Benin City? I think we are in a state of war in the country. The president has said we are not in a state of war, fine. And yet, every day, or at least every week, we hear of the activities of Boko Haram and other insurgents. In Abuja, last week, today is the beginning of the week, we heard that people were killed. In Kogi, last week, we heard that 19 people were killed. What are we talking about not being in a state of war? Talking about the reasonableness of the proposal, I would say that nobody actually truly understands the president. If you recall, when he just came on board in 2015, he ordered the disbandment of military checkpoints all over the country, and people rose up to cry against it. In my opinion, that period of withdrawal of military from checkpoints allowed the Boko Haram insurgents to permeate the south. It was soon after that we started to hear of the activities of Boko Haram, even as close to us as Auchi here. And I think that was accidentally on purpose. Now, from the blues, we are hearing that, or we have heard that in the first quarter of this year, troops will be gradually withdrawn from troubled areas. What would he have to say about that, other than to say we're in a state of war? Were we in a state of war when he deployed the troops? If we were then, what has changed? I don't know what is behind this, but I know that whatever is behind it is evil. Because the way of giving opportunity again to these insurgents to deal with Nigerians, after which he will now say, okay, let us go back there. If there is any sense in the proposal, at least not less than 4 governors have come to say, no, please let them stay. We need them. We are not secure in our states. And what happened in Taraba, even after the supposed withdrawal proposal, is a pointer to the fact that we are not ready for the withdrawal. The military may not have given us succor. They may not have done brilliantly well. But their presence alone instills fear even in the Boko Haram. I mentioned earlier that I won't be so sure where the casualty level has been higher. But the fact that they were there, or they are there, also encourages the people to feel that sense of security. After this time, we were hearing of villages, towns, even cities captured by Boko Haram. It became a little bit less with the military sent to the troubled areas. If we withdraw them, my brother, not even the south, not even Benin City will be safe. But the good thing about the proposal is that he has said that it will be a gradual thing, that they will expose Nigerians to insecurity. Saying it and doing it are different things. The very fact that you want to withdraw security shows that you're already exposing or planning to expose Nigerians to insecurity. I want to believe that if the federal government does not have sinister motive, ulterior motive, the military should be allowed to stay. 1. 2, the military should be equipped. They have told us that very soon they will receive equipment that will help them do their work better. Why has that equipment or those equipment not come in the last more than 4 years? For me, we are paying lip service to security. It is not in the interest of this government, although the government hardly cares, but more importantly, it is not in the interest of Nigerians.
Right, it's not in the interest of Nigerians. Now, this proposed withdrawal, does it have anything to do with finance? Because they say you're going out there to carry out your duty as military personnel, it gobs money. We're talking about millions here. Is this amount weighing down the government?
That is not true. That is not true. Times with that number, we've heard the federal government going outside the country to borrow money for the fighting of these insurgencies. I think the last time we saw the federal government or the National Assembly appropriating $1 billion for the procurement of weapons over 3-4 years ago, and yet the weapon has still not arrived in Nigeria. If they are manufacturing one weapon since all this while, I'm sure they would have been done by now. Look at the confusion and the reason why there will be a lot of outcry. There will be user cry here and there. Tongue will begin to wag. The federal government just told us very recently that they are planning that African countries should come into Nigeria without visa until they arrive in Nigeria. And they have started coming. The same period you are asking for the withdrawal of military checkpoints that are supposed to checkmate, question these people at the point of entrance. Because what is pertinent in the whole of the thing is that the custom, I'm not sure they are working collaboratively with the military at the border point. Because once you close the border, the idea and the brain behind it was to ensure that the home industries are encouraged, goods and commodities at home are in the market, and citizens will begin to cultivate the habit of eating what is grown at home. But do they also look at the entrance into the country through the Cameroon border, the Niger border, the one in the north? And we were told at the beginning of the first term of PMB that a railway will be constructed from Katsina State to the interior Niger. All these are business inclined policies of the man in the office, not necessarily for the interest, the overall interest of Nigerians. How will you now marry these two plans? Let me call it plans by federal government. You will allow African countries to be entering Nigeria until they get to Nigeria before they can get visa. You are withdrawing military from the troubled areas where the Boko Haram have captured. And I think if the meeting with the security chiefs was anything to go by, probably this advice were the advice of the military chiefs to the president. Because as the chief security officer of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, he is not in everywhere. Yes, he's a former military man. If you look at the types of weapon, the population of people, the sophistication of the weapons used during the time when PMB was a military man and the one that they use today, is a different pools apart. Yes, an old soldier is an old soldier. He has all the knowledge about the war front and everything. But he cannot compare the experience he had in those days with what is obtainable presently. So for a state governor, about 4 or 5 state governors came out to say, no, please, it will not do us well, because they are the chief security officer in their various domains. That is in Abuja, it's not enough for him to get accurate information from what is happening at those points where Boko Haram are ravaging, killing our people every day. Now, the issue of Boko Haram, to be candid, they've resorted to soft targets, which are among the civilians. Is there any intelligence gathering by way of collaboration with the DSS and police into training so that they can have the wherewithal rudiments to contain the excesses of this Boko Haram who are now infiltrated into the civilian life? These are certain things that the Nigeria ought to have done before now, while telling Nigerians that very soon we'll begin to withdraw the excessiveness of the military in attack to this Boko Haram. They ought not to even make such an announcement. They would have been doing that subterraneously. Because once he makes this announcement, it is televised, it's on social media and everywhere. The Boko Haram will also be up in their game and strategizing. So I thought, as a former military man, he has all the security tips that require official secrecy. These are certain official secrecy that ought not to be in the domain of the public. Because anything about security ought to be kept secret. For a federal government of today to open border for humans who ordinarily are the major threat to the existence and the problem of insurgency in our country today, you allow them to come until they get to Nigeria before they can obtain visa. For what purpose? Is it for economic reason? Yes, he may have said that he did that so that goods and other things can begin to be transported into the country with ease, but not to the detriment of Nigerians. Right. So I think it is more of an advice than condemnation to federal government on my part, to advise sincerely that the proposed withdrawal is a misplaced priority, it's a wrong policy, and it is not targeted for the welfare and the betterment of Nigerians, because these two things cannot work. You allow the borders to be porous by way of allowing people to come into the country before they can get visa, and you are asking the military who are those places where they enter to live, for what purpose?
All right. It's like this is bringing up more suspicion than applaud, or is giving more knocks to the persons in authority. Before we call it a wrap on this segment, because we have another segment to talking about the minimum wage saga and the compliance of governors in the federation. People are like saying that maybe, just maybe, the president is being lied to about the security situation of the country, hence this proposal. Maybe, just maybe, they are telling him that they've conquered, they've crushed the insurgents. Is that what the president is working with? And when you share your own opinions on that, as a word of kind of, summary, advise the president on what to do. Obarai, let's start off from you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I started it by saying we have a leadership. The man wearing our number one jersey does not understand the template. Because this same man will come up tomorrow to tell you, he never said so. He doesn't even know what is happening. That is the truth. The reason is because we have a man defending, supervising the security architecture in the entire nation. A man that is supposed to know first-hand information of how the security tenet is going on. So, little advice is what that man should know. Just get, before knowing, because he's supposed to be everywhere. He has over 3,000 aides. So he should have about 1, 2, 3, 4 in security. That goes from Babai, Umelu, everywhere, just to get security first hand. Not now for the down to him. You also have the IG, who has commissioner, who has DPOs, that will also come get back to information, go back to the IG, go back to the president. You have DSS down. You have up to EFCC. You have everything that will come back to tell you. So, if you marry up that of your aide, that of the DSS, that of the police, that of the army, and say, okay, you as the father of all, this is what is really happening. The truth must be told. He said, for a year shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. It is not well security-wise with us. What I expected the president to have done, after having a first-hand meeting with the security heads of the different security parastatals, the next thing was to also have a meeting with the governors involved. Because these governors are the ones who are collecting security votes in their individual states. To ask them, my brothers, you people collect security votes, how about the security in your various states? So before the governors come to get information, letting them know the meeting, the governors now also call their various councillors, representatives in every ward. What is the situation in your ward? Because I'm going back to the president to brief him. Some of them collect as far as 600, 700 million monthly. So what is now the issue if the man that collects over 500 million every month for security votes is being left in the dark and giving the priority to a man who does not know what it takes? I keep telling my brother that one of the major reasons why I support police, community policing, that we should also think of it is going to be politicized. We should think of it that we presently are now at Isio. That's where we are sitting now. My brother, if I decide to do anything negative here, without Wilson Massa showing me the road to Toronto, it will boomerang.
Right.
It's going to be 50-50. Right. But if I have a Wilson Massa that will tell me, my brother, this road by the left, if you take it, you go to Akadolo. This one at the straight, if you take it, you go to Siloko Road. This one, you go to Welu. With you, I will navigate where to take off. So the president already would have used that navigator to also go to the heads of traditional rulers in that various war zones, calling them, because those people stay there. If you transfer Osaokoba this morning as a police officer, God forbid, to say
Why you say God forbid?
Go to Lagos State. You have been transferred to Ikeja, so. My brother, if I get to the transport line I'm going to use, I'm going to first ask, I'm going to Ikeja. If I go to Ikeja, I'm going to first ask again a taxi driver or Keke Napep to say, where is this place? If I get there to my station, where is the closest house to this station? If I get to that house, I will ask the man. So until you get to the man that lives there. So it's also going to take me another, let's say, 6 months, 1 year. So now know, okay, if you just take this, so this one is cheap. So the people living within that war zone are the people the president would have asked.
Okay.
Not the man sitting in his comfort zone, holding his chair.
All right.
His papa chair to say everything is well.
All right.
Are you getting it down?
All right.
If you see the commissioner of police coming here with a jog as my brother, you will not know him. But if you see the security man at your doorpost, you see every day. You ask him, what is the problem? He will tell you everything is well or everything is not well. So we must first of all go back to the nitty-gritty, the roots.
All right. Thank you, Baraye. Thank you so much. Mr. Robinson, you heard him. He talked about the governor should have been called into that meeting to air their views and opinion. Even traditional rulers also, or individuals living in this community, to give the president first-hand report of the situation on the ground. Barrister, over to you.
If you listen to the chief of naval staff, he was the one who spoke, yes, you will know that the president did not seek their opinion on this matter.
Are you sure about it?
Very well, because he
said, when they had the meeting?
Because he said, we will carry out the instructions, use the word instructions, of the president. The man spoke soberly. He didn't speak as one who believed in what the decision that had been taken. He did not talk to the press as one who partook in a discussion that led to the decision. He only said that they were bound to carry out the instructions. And as a military person at that level, I'm sure he chose his ways of the president. Don't forget that the president didn't seek anybody's opinion before moving the military base to the northeast at the time. He didn't also seek any security advice before pronouncing that all these military checkpoints be disbanded at the time. From the way the chief of naval staff spoke, it is obvious that the president called them and instructed that within this period, troops should be withdrawn. Otherwise, if we sat down and took a decision, the president listened to my advice, the way you present the resolution will be different from the way the man presented it. So I'm sure that this is the game plan of the president. What he hopes to achieve by this is yet to be known by anybody. But I know that it is not in the interest of Nigerians. We are talking about withdrawing troops. During the time of President Goodluck Jonathan, what they call them, when they go out to aid other countries, troops that were sent to Chad and the others were withdrawn because he said at the time that Nigeria had enough problems. That was when the Boko Haram was spreading like wildfire. Today, we have not been able to achieve meaningful results in combating the Boko Haram insurgents, and we are withdrawing troops. In any case, why are we still talking? Are we talking about Boko Haram that has been technically defeated? Are we still talking about, after 4 years, the war that has been won on paper and through the pronouncement of the government of the day? Are we talking about the leader of the Boko Haram that has been killed, who resurrected and was killed again and is alive today? All this will tell you that the president and his group have know things that we don't know, have things in mind that they have not told us, that this withdrawal of military troops is designed to unleash mayhem on the people of Nigeria. That is what we have seen. I said designed. In my opinion, that's the way I look at it.
But you didn't say that.
I didn't say he said so.
Yes.
I'm saying that probably will be the design, the ulterior motive behind it.
And that is not ulterior motive.
Excuse me, sir. As we saw in the withdrawal of military checkpoints when he just came, it gave plenty of time to the Boko Haram to spread over before he now listen to the people and ask that they come back to the checkpoints. Governors also cried at the time, as they are crying today, that withdrawal of these troops will not be the interest of their states. Like my brother here said, is it really reasonable to think of withdrawing troops from states without carrying the state governors along? If he did, would they come out swiftly to say, no, if you do this, you are putting us in trouble? Our states will not be secured. If the chief of the naval staff contributed positively to the withdrawal of the troops and he spoke the way he did, Buhari would have fired him. Because the man said, we have no choice but to carry out the instructions. Resolutions and instructions are different things. He would have said, oh, that we have looked at everything, that's what we have decided to do. He removed himself. He removed the military and said, we are loyal people, we will carry out the instructions of the president. Is that not what you read? So to talk about advising the president on this matter, which president? President Muhammadu Buhari? Does he take advice?
Of course he does.
He does?
He does.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Barrister Robinson. Honorable Desmond,
it is my special advice that the president should have a rethink over this proposal, inform and invite all the state governors, if possible. Before the governors are invited, the local government chairman should be told to brief the governor on the security situation of their respective local government. That will form part of the reports of such governor when it gets to the National Security Council meeting. The president should, this time, listen more to those that are mostly affected. Because anything you are doing for me without me is not for me. If you are withdrawing a troop from a state, for example, without the chief security officer, as in the governor, knowledge, how will you call that a comprehensive action? One will begin, or one will be tempted to think that, are you sure the president does not have a ulterior motive about all this? Appropriating and reprobating on issue that borders on security of life and property is something one should be very wary of. We talked about Soleimani, the man that was killed in Soleimani in Iran. The president of the United States of America came out publicly to give reasons why the man was killed and how it was killed and the various atrocities that he has committed before. We were expecting our president to throw more light on the achievements so far on the fight against insurgency. It is not late. They should tell Nigerians the level they have attained in decimating the Boko Haram. Yes, they've told us that they have been technically defeated. That goes to show that they don't have a particular armament where they fire from, but they have permeated into the country. And that makes it more very, very dangerous. Can the police do this job? Some policemen have seen them, ordinary two fighting. They remove their cap and their shirt and the benjons. All these are setting fears in our mind. I think it is more or less an advice that the policemen that they were asked to replace the withdrawn military should go for a proper training. But it is all going to end in hearing the numbers of policemen that have been attacked.
All right. Thank you.
It is my special advice that the president should invite all the governors, all the security chiefs, not the one-way security advice that is getting. That will not solve the problem intended.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for your wonderful analysis. But what they've said here on this platform has nothing to do with ITV's own personal opinion. Regulations governing the airwaves. Think about it. After the pronouncement was made, you get to hear a series of explosions, series of fighting, series of killings, kidnapping, you just name it. Is this the right time to really call for the withdrawal? Even if it's gradual, of troops, talk about the military from this troubled region. And don't forget also that the Chadian army, as they were leaving, people in that region, the villagers in that region started packing their things. They're like leaving also. Is this the right time? Is it the right call? Think about it. Nigeria is our own. Having said that, now let's come to what concerns the workforce, the labor force. We want to take a breather. When we return, we'll go to public discussion. Governors, are they going to comply? A deadline has been set. Many are saying yes to it. Many are beginning to pay backload of arrears, while others are still bent on saying we don't have the wherewithal, we don't have the resources to pay the 30,000 naira minimum wage. We'll be right back after this break.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. Right now, it's all about the minimum wage saga, the compliance of governors. Yes, a governor chooses to make it 2,000 naira minimum wage, while others choose to pay arrears. Others said, look, we are on board. We are going to do our best possible to make sure workers smile. While some others, yeah, it's like others, they are still bent on saying we don't have the means to pay that amount. They have to review our location from the middle, from the center. Anyway, let's get to hear the thoughts of my analysts. I still have Obaraye Osanho, Barrister Robinson Imade, and of course, Honorable Desmond Ubo here with me in the studio. Honorable, let me start off from you, Honorable Desmond. After all, you're one time a boss of a local government. Now, there have been arguments, fights here, fight there, until they resolve to pay 30,000 naira a minimum wage. Some governors, they're already in tune, they're already in line with it. Others are still grumbling. How do you feel about this?
You see, for some governors who are paying, I give them kudos, because it's one of those things they promised during the electionary. It becomes a kind of a bottleneck for all the governors prior to that election. Some knew that they can't pay, but to fulfill all elections promises, they just give into it and say, yes, I will pay this, I will pay that. And when they assume office, they find it very difficult to pay. The reason is because of the imbalances in the appropriation of the money made for the state, the local government, and the federation. When we are talking about the RAMFAC, the Revenue Allocation Mobilization and Fiscal Commission, asking them to do the needful by way of reviewing the revenue sharing formula to favor this 30,000 minimum wage of a thing. One will also ask a question that from what they have been given before, how much is being appropriated for security? We just finished talking about security, and we learned that some state governors go home with 600 million, some 800 million, depending on how they are able to cajole, they use the word cajole, the House of Assembly to do their bidding. Because ordinarily, that amount of money, if we really need to tell ourselves the truth, we'll pay salaries of thousands of people. But that is not the issue. The affordability on the part of government is not the problem. Can they afford it? Yes, they can afford it. For those who are paying and celebrating that they have done what Napo could not do, it's nothing but rhetoric, because payment of salary is not an achievement on the part of it's just one of those social contracts that you need to fulfill. For me, the states who are yet to pay should go back to their drawing board and effect the payment, because the correspondence increase in the commodities in the market. The salary intended to pay now, the 30,000 minimum wage, cannot even take care of it. We just passed through the U-tide, we know the prices of goods and commodities everywhere. And if not for the grace of God, that Nigerians had acclimatized to the economic situation, reality, one need not to be advised now to cut their coat according to their cloth, not to their size now. So that is what we have achieved so far from this ball passing of governors and other people who ordinarily should have been happy paying such amount of money.
Okay.
I know talking from outside the government is different from when you are there, but it's not something that they cannot do because I was there.
You've been there.
I was there before.
All right, so you know the nitty-gritty,
Yes.
you know the
It's not
ball
that they
passing,
can't
the
do.
football, and everything
It's a
inside
matter
the
of
government.
priority. Rearrange your priority.
I'll come back to you. But Robin is saying, though you are a legal practitioner, you are also in the forefront, talk about agriculture, or labor devotee or labor employers and all that. Do you see all governors complying to this?
Well, I wish they had a choice. No governor has a choice in this matter. The minimum wage bill has been passed into law. It is now a law in the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And any governor, whether you are doing your second term and you are retiring completely out of politics and you think I'm messed up with the people, I'm very sure Labour will mess up any governor that would drag for too long. They will pay. Even before the minimum wage was arrived at, when we were talking about 30,000 or more, I mentioned here in the studio that if the federal government decides on a particular amount, carrying the state governors along like they did in this case, that all the governors will pay. There is no governor that will not be able to pay. No state that will not be able to pay 30,000 minimum wage. What is 30,000 naira today? A minimum wage that can just buy perhaps a bag of rice. My brother talked about workers now sewing their coats according to their clothes. Do they have clothes? How do they sew? How do they sew coats? The truth of the matter is that the minimum wage has further, in the scheme of things, impoverished the workers. If it is true, and I know it is, that some governors take as much as 500 million naira. Others take much more than that as security vote per month. And you come out to tell the workers, because even in your government office, your governor's office, in your government house, the governor's particular office, there are workers there. So workers everywhere know what is going on. And so to say we cannot pay is beside the issue. I'm not even sure any governor is saying today that we cannot pay. The NSC gave them December 31st, 2019 to pay. As at December 31st, by December 11th, they met and reviewed the situation. Many had promised. As at December 31st, more than half of the governors have said they will pay. But as at today, not more than 5 governors have started to pay. But even those paying, are we sure what they are paying? In this state, during the last minimum wage, we were the first to say we'll pay. But what were we paying? I read about some governors saying we can only pay minimum wage for levels 1 to 7. Level 8 and above, what did they do? Let me take a cue from the federal government's position. I know that from levels 8 to 17, it was graduated from as little as 14%. So from as little as 23.2% to 14% to the top echelon. If they do that, and I'm surprised that Labour accepted that from the federal government, but if that comes to the state, it will go a long way. A good thing has happened. Not only has the federal government started to pay, it has also paid arrears from April 2019. So if any governor is to dragging now, it's just postponing the evil day because they will all pay, and Labour has made it clear, if you don't pay, we withdraw our services by way of strike.
All right.
And no government, state, local government, or even national, will survive without the workers.
Okay.
So I have no doubt that they will all pay. They are for dragging at their own peril. Labour must insist that the relativity that was secured at the level of the federal government permeates down to the state and local government.
Okay, Obaraye, you've heard both of them. How do you feel about all this?
Another political, that's what I call it. The reason is because we used 2018 to talk about this issue. We used nearly the full 2019 again to talk about minimum wage issue. And you see governors dancing, the Makaba dance to say, I want to pay the new minimum wage.
All right, now, Obaraye, I have to pause you now. I want to go for a break. When we return, we'll continue with this discussion. We'll be right back. Do stay tuned.
TMI, every opinion counts.
Thank you so much for staying tuned. This is the last lap of today's edition of This Morning on ITV. It's all about the minimum wage saga and the compliance of governors. Obaraye, before we went on that break, you talked about political brouhaha. Take it up from there.
Yeah, thank you. I said you saw political gimmicks. The reason is because a governor celebrating paying 30,000 minimum wage for the very just now goes to show his sincerity on their part, because the luxury that goes to governance in Nigeria is extremely enormous. You have a governor collecting over 500, 600 million security votes, not extra codes, not on salary, not on every other thing, just security votes. Add them together in addendum. There's no government in Nigeria that does not collect over 100, 200 million monthly. Adding everything together. My brother, there are some private companies in Nigeria that have over 10,000 employees on their payroll that does not have over 200 million as a monthly turnover for cost. So you can see that if we have a government that still dance the Makaba dance just to prove that they are paying the 30,000 minimum wage, it goes to show that they are mocking our people. The people, they come every 4 years to give 2,000-3,000 naira to. That knowing this is what we have to do for you. That is what they are doing. So, to me, it's time our people sit up to say, is this really what we bargained for? There is no governor that has changed his or herself in the history of this government to say, just because I want my people to be happy. I expected Buhari to have done that. As a man we all once looked onto to say, this is Mr. Integrity. The man that only have just one house and not that one. To say, my salary will be of no value to me until the man on the street is happy. Because first of all, as a president or as a governor, food is no longer your problem again until you go to the grave. And the hustling and bustling of every man is to put food on our table. So for you to get to the pinnacle of a president or a governor of a country, you've already killed that issue of food, stressing to put food. Now it's your choice food, buffet, whatever you want. So if that you've been able to conquer that for you and your immediate family, why not sit down to think about one Mr. Moba or one Mr. also sitting down on his own to say, I must make sure that man eats well first. That time, just the way my friend Awili would say, when he went to Libya, I said, the Ghanaians, when they saw the price in chicken, they will use chicken during every time. Here the Ghanamba will say, Charlie, chicken day basa. Just to tell you, chicken is everywhere. So to make sure that if I want to eat now, I will stop eating apple. My brother, the smell of apple, no man want to eat it. But because of the cheap amount, they will tell you this apple is too good. You start seeing people speaking Latin America just to make sure, just to prepare the apple to say no, it's not smelling, just that he has some odor, but it's good for the system. If you eat it in the morning, you will not be hungry till in the evening. Is that supposed to be the job of a man? What stops you from taking vegetable and pounded yam for 3,005? A plate, good meal that you will eat and you will be feeling sleepy. And just to stress yourself to eat 2 akpu and 1 meat and water soup for 100 naira, 200 naira.
There's nothing wrong with eating akpu for crying out loud.
I'm trying to tell you, there's no akpu elsewhere. We emphasize on it here because of the cheap. It's a cheap commodity. So the truth must be told. Tell me the government that will sit down and say, let me prepare akpu for me. Akpu is very good. I saw someone eating it at so and so place. No, but they want, even their kids, it's poisonous to them. Their dogs will not even eat it. Their dogs will not go for it. But akpu where is something very luxury. I sit down and make sure I want to eat it. So until our government sit down to say no, let's take this out of this system, so that these people will be happy. Do you know, my brother, if our government really are serious to say, let them put these things, let chicken make pasta, let good food make pasta for the common Nigerians. You don't even need to withdraw security people. If I'm well fed, my brother, and somebody comes knocking, the person that will come knocking is well fed, we discuss.
That is the truth.
That's the truth, we discuss. What you now see is, Mr. Robert Simade is showing me money, let's go and fight. No longer for, let me go and kidnap him. Why am I going to kidnap him? What money is going to give me? When I know with my 100 naira, I can eat very well. My brother, when last did you eat chicken and chips? It's very good, it's expensive. You will not go for it. Because of the nature of Nigeria. But these are what the losses where the grandchild of a governor eats at his own way. It's even in their freezer.
I say that they can pay this money without scrubbing.
No, it's sweatless. You don't even need to do it. It's so relaxed for them to pay. The truth must be told. I said there is no government. There is no governor in Nigeria that I don't want to raise it the bar. That does not in everything they get every month. That does not receive over 100 million. Right. Tell me, this parastatal that we are today, that has over, let me know, it's over 100, 200 staffs. That I've noticed it here. Your radio here, everywhere. You people don't do a run of 200 million every month. We should be faster to ourselves. But your skin is shiny because you work here. People around here, even if you hustle out, but you already have a base where you don't receive money. So if the government are sincere to say, let me forget about it. Let generation unborn remember me.
All right.
Are you getting it now?
All right.
Let generation unborn remember me.
Okay.
My security vote until everything is okay. Let me inject it into this payment.
Thank you, Obaraye. Thank you, Obaraye, because our time is up. You're going to have 1 minute each to summarize. There are still some governors, even the 80,000 naira they couldn't pay. Backlog of salaries being owed. Talk about months. Local government also. Thank God you were one time a boss of the local government. You saw it happening. You saw it happening as saying they just can't pay. Do you see this repeating itself? 1 minute each as to summarize. Honorable Desmond Dubo.
Thank you very much. For the local government,
Yes.
the government of Nigeria should try and sever local government from the state government. Because this joint account allocation, we call it JAC, every month, council chairman meets with the governor, deputy governor, or the commissioner of local government, announce what came to their respective local government. They give them what they want to use in paying of salary and all that. Then also determining the extent to which they can work with the remaining one, which is very bad. In such a climb, the third tier of government is suffering, is seriously suffering. I listened to Barrister Imade. He didn't mention local government. He was talking about federal and state government. That is what we have come to understand. It's not his fault. Nobody mentioned local government. So the state governor should, as a matter of importance, who are yet to pay their 30,000 naira minimum wage, to pay, reorder your priority. Take from Peter, pay Paul, if Paul is the person doing the job. That is not to say that you are going to strangulate Peter.
All right.
But let it be well appropriated in such a manner that the workforce should be accorded, because in any society where there is hunger, there will be crime. Okay. Because poverty anywhere is a threat to prosperity everywhere.
Thank you so much, Honorable Desmond Ugbo. By Sir Robinson, please 1 minute. Our time is up.
Well, the fate of the local government is not man-made. It's design of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. That is why recently there was a call for local government autonomy. And many local governments voted against their own autonomy.
Including Edo State.
Including Edo State.
Including their own independence.
Just like the Houses of Assembly, many, including Edo State, also voted against their own autonomy. So the fault, dear Brutus, is not in our stars, but in ourselves. Having said so, I want to repeat again that all the state governors or governments can pay the 30,000 minimum wage. As for those who couldn't pay 18,000 minimum wage in the past, they were rewarded. Kogi State governor came back with the number of months that he was owing as salaries. And so to them, it becomes not a priority not to pay. Because even when you don't pay, the people still could vote for you massively.
But towards the end of the first term, I was able to clear the backlog of salaries because he received the help.
Is that the way salary should be paid?
Good question.
Is that the way salary should be paid?
That makes it political.
Exactly. I believe that we reward mediocrity in Nigeria, especially in this government. But
no, they will not agree to that.
Especially,
they will not agree to that.
Well, yeah. That's my opinion. But I would say that all the governors should pay. All the state government should pay. Let me say this. If you take Lagos, Kano, what they generate internally in those two states will be even more than the allocation of some states in the north.
All right.
The 13% derivation in some of our Niger Delta states will be more than the total revenue of some states in the north. So no state in the south should cry.
All right.
And all the states in the country should pay.
Thank you so much, Brother Robinson Ibade. Obaraye, 1 minute.
Thank you so much. Let me just quickly paint what my leader said. Is that I'm sure you saw a video going on online by the NDDC contract.
Yeah.
Okay.
When the woman was screaming that this standing on the road, that this is a savior with the files on her hand. It has been paid for in full.
900 million.
In full. That this person signed, that this a worker in NDDC signed, that they came, they saw that this contract has been done perfectly 100%. So the man should be paid. This thing did happen in Tamara Set. It happened right here. So you can see that we are our own problem. The said workers we are fighting for now sat down, collected percentage for what did not go to and signed for the man to collect 900 million for a job that was not done. Not one. If that was, we saw it because it happened in our domain. That job everywhere. If Nigeria has and sees here, we will not be tying Lagos road since 1999. Neither tying Lokoja, Abuja road since 1999. If that is here, if that was a private home of a president or a governor or even a billionaire, it has since been done. Right. Nigerians again sat down, built National Assembly for 7 billion. Few years later, again say we want to renovate with the 37 billion. Yeah. Workers again, leaders again. A politician cannot steal without the help of a civil servant.
It's not done.
It's impossible. Because the man will come and go. The civil servant will remain. So if you civil servant sit down to say, hey, if I don't do it, I'll be sad. Remember, you're going to spend 35 years. The man will not spend more than 8 years. The highest we see is 8 years.
All right.
So you want to just skill your own. Take 8 years away from 35. If you now sell your birthright, just as our friend in the Bible did for porridge.
Yeah.
Why are you not complaining? The same people now you are stealing for could not pay minimum wage for you. You come tomorrow and say because of the way it is. So it is time we start thinking. In America, somebody was talking negatively about Donald Trump. And Donald Trump was right in the front. And watch the person and did like this and continue their what they were doing. So we should start thinking not just the negative part of what we see in social media or television, but the positive side of it.
Thank you so much, gentlemen. I appreciate a wonderful analysis. You've heard them. This is the first Sunday's edition of This Morning on ITV for the year 2020. We talked about proposed withdrawal of Nigerian military from some parts of the country, and of course, a minimum wage saga, the compliance of governance. Well, it's just the beginning of the year. Thank you so much for being there. Bye for now.